I was looking at a $50 note, an Australian $50 note, and on there was a picture of an Aboriginal man, and I even didn't know who this person was. So I did my own research and realised a wonderful story about this man, David Unaipon. And I think we should all be very proud to know this story. So here's a little snippet where I can share some of his history. But I'd love you to do your own research on this man, because it really shows the strength of who he was as a character and as a First Nations person, and the influence he had at the time he lived and passed, and what legacy he's left with us. So I think it's an honour that they put him on the $50 note. And here's a poem I wrote called The Aussie $50 Note. There's something very special about this true Aussie legend I'm about to share. He led such an exceptional life, spanning 95 long years. For his people even today, that was very rare. He was born in South Australia of the Nurindjeri people in 1872, where he was acknowledged at such a young age with many things that he seemed to pursue. He was an inventor and a scientist and an author, a musician and a preacher. And they called him the Australian Leonardo Da Vinci. He was such an inspiring teacher. He travelled widely to promote the cause of Aboriginal rights, and in 1909 his goal was to patent many inventions for the whites. He played around with perpetual motion and patented his shearing tool. He applied for 19 patents. He was definitely no fool. And one day he was observing a boomerang as it moved gracefully through the air. He had developed the basic design for a helicopter 22 years before it was operational somewhere. And as the first Indigenous author, he has written a vast amount of books. He found out pretty quickly that most book publishers in those days were just flaming crooks. Political issues, he fought for Aboriginal affairs and self-determination, travelling all over this great country to protest with his people about their continual denigration. And by the way, his name is David Unaipon, and he is honoured with his picture on the Aussie $50 note. Check out his legendary tales of the Australian Aboriginals and many more books that he wrote. And the Queensland State Library in '88 started giving Indigenous authors the David Unaipon Award so that their stories, myths and legends of our First Nations people are known here and abroad. Remember that next time you get to look at an Aussie $50 note, you'll look proudly at his picture and always remember what David invented and what he wrote.